I do not think.
So it'll be vacated the minute they vote. I just have to make a resolution that our court and the probate court. And 1109 is the next one.
Anybody showing up?
Jimmy, did you play that football?
I can't. I got to have shoulder surgery. As before.
What?
Okay. It's 5:15. We'll call the work session of the June 11th Pike County Commission work session to order. And tonight we'll start the work session off with the public hearing on the vacation of the County Road 7724. Is there anybody present tonight with comments or questions on the County Road 7724 vacation and relocation? Mr. Allen, what's protocol with everybody?
During the regular meeting, there'll be a motion second to vacate County Road 7724 and adopt a resolution that we have to record in the probate court, which completes the vacation, but by just somebody making a motion and vote to vacate it will effectively tonight vacate the road, which is what we as a county want, because that's the Rex Lumber site and there's all kind of equipment activity going on over it right now, which we're on before something were to happen, so we don't want the road anymore. That's in Homer's district.
Commissioner Homer. Right.
Motion.
This will be portion of 7720.
Yeah.
This
has got a legal description in it. It's just from the
Because
paved road to where the property line actually ends. It's got a map drawn on that.
That's what I was saying, because on the south end of it, it's
Now, all that'll stay open, and then when the new relocation is constructed, it'll connect into that part that's not closed. It'll end up coming right back around
to tie it into the Bronson and Davis property line.
Right.
Yep.
It's just we're vacating it right now while there's all this work on top of it.
The reason I made that statement is this said over here, closing County Road 7724. If I look at it,
The correct statement should be.
Should be portion. It should
A portion of it.
portion.
It should have been that.
You put that in the motion.
Yeah.
You put that
But I think in
motion,
the
you
packet.
make a
Yeah.
motion. Put a portion, that's what I think.
It is an under current business, it's vacation of a portion.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Item 6 on current business is just the portion that
Yeah.
the site affects. Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But I put that in the motion.
Okay. Well, if Commissioner Wright, with the absence, anybody in the audience, is there anything else you want to talk about or bring up before we move through the public hearing part and go on into the regular work session on this?
No, we don't did all the necessary work and whatnot, and time to move on and let's go ahead and do it.
The only questions I had, one call, and when I explained to them that it was actually a relocation of the road and not a permanent closure, they were fine, and I just don't think we had a proper, sending out a relocation form wasn't a proper, something we could do. We had to close it and then reopen it, so. Well, with that, if you're okay, since it's, Commissioner Wright, since it's in District 1, we'll now close the public hearing on the closure of a portion of County Road 7724 and move on to our regular work session. Start that off with the engineer's report.
Good afternoon.
Yep.
How are y'all? We have 2 items under new business, and we still have 4 items under current business. But we only have really 1 item other than the 7724 road vacation that requires any action from you tonight, and that's personnel. So, but I'll go back to the new business first. Our first item there is CDBG, and that is not referring to the work associated with the Rex lumber mill. This is back to our pre-existing CDBG application that we were unsuccessful in being awarded for this year. I've spoken to Ashton Estes, and she's informed me that the next deadline for submitting grant applications is July 31st. So I think the simplest thing to do if you want to submit that application again for that project, the simplest thing to do is just to let them submit it on our behalf to ADECA again in the same form that it was in before. So with no changes, that'd be the simplest thing. Beyond that, if you want to change any of it, we'll have to get with her, with Ashton, and get her to try to make the necessary changes and get everything done by the deadline. So kind of need your guidance on that, and we also need to set a public hearing for the public application hearing that we normally have for that.
Mr.
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
You're saying that you were denied on the CDB grant, and you want to continue to work with it for the next year.
Right. Really, I'm asking what you want to do. Do you want to submit that same application again for the same 2 projects? And if you do, we'll set a public hearing between now and the end of July, and we'll get that application turned back in.
Okay, so we can keep this on the agenda then.
Yes, sir. It'll have to stay on the agenda. It'll roll down to current business. I don't think there's any action on it tonight unless somebody wants to change something.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
Commissioner
So
Kelly.
last time we discussed this, Ashton was gonna go back and get some feedback from them.
Right.
Did that ever happen? Do we know any more detail?
She did, and I guess to summarize the results of that is she feels like we have a very strong application. We only missed it by 1 point, if you remember. So she, looked at the other applications that were successful and kind of, I think basically the idea was that we just had some really tough competition this time. There were some applications with utilities in them, and it's kind of hard to compete when somebody doesn't have any drinking water. It's hard to compete with that with a road grant. So she, like I say, the results of that analysis on her part is that she thinks we have a very strong application and a very good chance of being awarded next go round.
I don't see no reason why not to let's be on the agenda and try it again.
Yep.
I agree.
I'd concur. As long as you're certain, we've filled out, reached out, and made sure we're not just, I think you answered the question. That was my only worry, is if we were just going to reapply one that got denied, do we need to, but I agree that project needs to be done if we can get the funding for it. So I'd say let's let that stay on, if you want.
I agree.
Well, I will try to set up the public hearing for either, I think your next meeting is June 25th, or the first meeting in July. You'll have to do one of those 2 meetings.
we've got another public hearing that same, on the 25th, so it would probably be a good idea to try to shoot for the first July meeting. Be my
Okay.
You said the deadline was July 31st?
Is there enough time between the first meeting in July and the 31st?
I think so. Let me confirm that if there is.
If not, we'll try to push them to one meeting, but we just have another public hearing on the 25th.
That'll be our preference then, first meeting in July.
Yeah, could we even do it at the next meeting? What's the advertising? Is it
I think it's just a week on those, do you know?
on CDPG meeting?
Yeah, it's a week or less, maybe.
Okay, for CDPG. Okay. But you don't need that in a motion tonight in the regular meeting. You can set that up and let it roll over to current business. Okay.
Right, yeah. And then our second item under new business is also under commissioners' reports for Commissioners Barron and Copeland. So we can address that now or wait, whatever y'all want to do on that.
Yeah, we can go ahead.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead and address it.
Okay. You want me to?
Well, I mean, basically, we've been discussing that dirt road with the Banks School for a little over a year now, and some traffic issues that they're having with it. And, you know, it's been kind of an ongoing process, and we made it one way to try to relieve some of the pressure. And we've kind of worked on right away and worked on plans to try to do a little better. And so we finally got situated on a plan to pave it one way. And there's some work that the school is possibly going to do in conjunction to that to pave where the students pull in there, and just trying to make the kids pick up and everything a little safer and better right there at the Bank School. So what the proposal here is to pave that one way. We've discussed it with the engineer, and we think it can be handled with funding inside. And so that's basically where we are in the discussion with it, to try to get it. And I know we had to do some grading and some things like that. If you think that needs to be discussed, you kind of explain that to us. But it's a fairly cheap project to be doing what we're doing, and for the
Right.
to be at the school and the things that it's going to benefit.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, paving projects are very expensive. This is an extremely unusual paving project. It's just nothing more than a very short, flat road that, you know, services the school there. I mean, that's basically what it is. So there's lots of things that are normally required that will not be required this time. For example, since it's only going to be a one-way street, and due to the terrain and the existing circumstances there won't be an additional right-of-way required. There won't be any widening required. So, you know, and the other big deal with it is, over the years, we've modified the material so much, just adding crushed stone to it, you know, to try to get a really good entrance to that school, so the parents don't have to sit in the mud when it rains and that kind of thing. Due to that, you've really got great material there now, so it's just a matter of us processing what's there and making it into a base with very minimal grading required. And again, it's, you know, since you're going to make it a one-way street, and also since it's so short, the paving cost is relatively low. So if you look at our estimate, and you know, it's a little less than a quarter of a mile. So if you take our estimate and multiply it by 4, I guess, you know, to get a per mile cost, you'll see that it ends up being a little closer to what your normal railroad paving costs are. But so I guess I say all that just to reduce any confusion, you know, about why we're able to do this. And it'll be the easiest dirt road paving project you'll ever do.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Anything?
Okay, under current business, we do have the vacation of 7724 on there, so I think y'all pretty much covered that in your public hearing. The only other thing on there that we have that requires action is under personnel. You may remember that you approved last meeting, or maybe the meeting before, you approved for us to advertise for a new operator to replace one that had left. And so we were in the middle of us interviewing and preparing to make a recommendation for that. We have another operator who has turned in his resignation, and the letter is included in there as well. So we came prepared tonight, since we have a pool of applicants for that same position. We just came prepared to make 2 recommendations to you to avoid or to save the cost and time of advertising and going through that whole process again. So we made 2 recommendations there for you, and if you so choose to do that, to let us hire both of those, then we will need to get permission from you to advertise again for a part-time operator, because one of these individuals is currently a part-time operator in the road department. So we will have to replace that position for that vacancy. Fill that vacancy.
So you got 2 operators that have left, and this is the replacement for those 2.
Right.
And one of the replacements is your part-time help, and you really just want to advertise to fill that vacancy.
The part-time.
Right. And we're making 2 recommendations, but you only approved us advertising for 1.
I'm assuming that's kosher.
Yeah, I missed the same job, so.
Just wanted to make sure you understood that, because we are asking for 2.
We can do that in one motion tonight for both positions. Okay, you have anything else, sir?
That's all we had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
EMA Director's report. Do you have anything?
Got 2 items tonight. One, which we're going to ask for approval to move forward on that. That is on our merger of the Emergency Management Office and the 911 Office, of creating this the Pike County Emergency Management Communications District. And what we're asking for is to be able to move forward with beginning to talk to all the other stakeholders, the 911 board, the cities, city governors from all the different areas, Mines, Brundage, Goshen, and Troy, to begin that process. We still would have to come back to you for final approval on it once we get all the details worked out. But you have a draft proposal minus some budget stuff that we need to work with when we work with all the other entities. But what we're going to be asking for tonight is for us to be able to go ahead and start setting those meetings and trying to move forward with this to see that it's feasible to jump the hurdle of talking to the state EMA, and they're fine with it. We just have to keep our grant dollars separate, EMA grant dollars separate from 911 dollars, and so we'll have to make sure there's some accounting done there to make sure all that stays separate. We'll ask for reimbursements. So we'll be asking to move forward with that. Second thing is more of an information item. Did meet this past week with the Alabama Homeland Security Program. They have put out the 2018 grant funding, and they're going to fund grants from $10,000 to $50,000 for all the eligible agencies. The emphasis this year is going to be on radio or communication interoperability, the P25 stuff or equivalent to it. Also, physical barriers or access control in the facilities. So if we've got any areas that we want to look at eliminating or restricting access, that's one of the areas they will fund. And then lastly, public notification systems. Not sirens, but more along the lines of what we have, rave, alert, and things along those lines. So we're going to be getting all the eligible agencies together here within the next week to begin having discussions about these grant applications. So it's from $10,000 to $50,000 that each agency can apply for.
The approval tonight is not necessarily a motion. I mean, it's just a continuation of what we've been doing. So, and Ms. Allen, if just to keep moving forward until we actually make a vote to change the way it is, we don't need a vote tonight, correct?
The reason we're asking is because we're moving outside of commission to talk to other entities, and that's why we want to make sure the commission's okay with us talking to those other entities.
We can vote just to give him
Approval.
clarification.
Yeah.
So that's what we're asking for, permission, not necessarily approval, just permission to move forward with talking to those other agencies, and then we'll come back, with reports as we move forward with this.
Mr. Allen, this is not under current business, but we've been working with it. Yes, it is number 7, so we can, okay.
Yes.
The second reading on it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And change your draft here, you want to talk to other entities, and you may be able to change some of your wording in your draft
Absolutely.
and what you're asking for. So this works, but we just continue forward, let it continue to move forward on it.
Okay. Any other commissioners have questions, comments too?
I got one.
I'm not pushing that anything, not for 911, so.
Commissioner Coe.
Yeah, the only thing that struck me when you were talking about the Homeland Security grants, I know when we first started talking about Ray, there was a couple of different, I call them modules, I don't know what they call them, but different things that you could do. And I know one of them was it tied back into the schools and stuff with some emergency response. And, I don't know if that would be something that would be of interest to any of them, but if the money's out there to...
We'd have to look, I'm not sure about Ray, but we just reviewed a product and the sheriff's department came over when we reviewed it. It's called Panic App. And it's basically it's a panic type button that all the teachers can have on their cell phones. And
That's the...
administrator basically, once you push that, you got either a criminal act, something for a criminal act, or you've got a button you can push for a medical situation. But it's a one button type deal where you can push and notify someone without getting on the phone and dialing 911.
Yeah, and that's what I remember that Rave add-on being, is a one-touch emergency notification for schools. And I think it was open to other, you probably remember more than I do in this, Chris.
The one geared towards the, like K through 12 type was the Panic Button app. It might have one for ambulance, for one button, another for active shooter. Then they had some that wouldn't initially go to 911, but might alert administrative staff. Then they had the one built towards more like universities, where it's a full app that people could go download on their personal phone, and it would interface with Smart 911, Panic Button, I think Ring Alerts as well.
Yeah, the one we looked at the other day, there's all kinds of things on there. There's, the GPS locator if you got a lost child or misplaced child that you're looking for, or you can even activate your camera and record everything that's going on while a situation may be going on when you push that panic button. But that would fall under this grant if we want to look at it. Something we want to look at, working with law enforcement, trying to get it in schools.
I remember when we worked on Rave, y'all should talk to Dr. Bazell, because they have some type of a mobile alert already, but it was not Rave. And it may be that might be something we could finally tie all that together. There's some grant money. Y'all have any other?
Then you read this, it's self-explanatory, right? And he want to go outside and look for some other stuff, I'm willing to do that, but it's self-explanatory. I like this grab here. So, I'm just one commissioner. I'm ready to vote on it whenever y'all get ready. Cause I don't believe you're gonna find anything else out there talking to others.
No, I think we probably just need to make sure all the stakeholders understand how we're gonna regroup this. We'll finish it up and get it back to you.
When you think you have to finish?
We're gonna try to start meeting with people if we next week. So we're gonna try to meet with all the mayors and law enforcement, fire chiefs and stuff like that. But we gotta meet with the 911 board, and Chris has got to set a meeting with the 911 board. So hopefully we will be well underway by the next meeting, or potential vote in the meeting after that. Our goal will be to finalize this sometime in July.
But we, I mean, obviously, we got to see some budget.
And we
Yeah,
have-
budget,
Before we
You have more questions for EMA number one? All right, thank y'all, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Attorney's report,
No report tonight.
any commissioners, anything to report on? Y'all want to touch any more on the 5515?
Pretty well covered it.
Yeah, I think we covered
Not unless you got something else to add, Chad.
I think the only other thing, I think some of the representatives from bank schools, PTA will be here next
The
week.
next meeting.
Administrator's report,
Good afternoon. Tonight, the first thing up under my report will be the commission office server update. And this is more just to update y'all on what's going on. You know, it went down completely, was down for like a week. They kind of got us back on a leg, but we have ordered another computer, another server. And on the 18th, they're planning on doing the switch over to the new server, and hopefully we won't be having the down problems like we've been having lately on that. That's really on that. There's not any
Commissioner Coe.
The only question on that is, I know that's more payroll and that kind of stuff, right?
It's for software, yeah, our accounting software.
And you're backing that information up.
Oh, yeah, we had it backed up. We were good to go. It's just the server went completely dead, and so we couldn't put it on anything for a minute there.
But Montgomery County made us all gun shy on anything
We
that's got
had
to do
it
with
backed up
backup.
in a few places. I'm pretty sure it's in 2 or 3 different places, so that was not a problem, the backup of it. It was
Even if
just
we
our
got
server
to
was
some
dead.
thumb drives.
Yeah, no, it was backed up. That was not an issue for us there. The second thing under, but if y'all don't have anything else on that, I just wanted to give y'all an update on where we were on that. The second thing is the ACCA Legislative Committee nominee. Last year, y'all did Commissioner Copeland, y'all nominated him to be on it. This year, they're actually wanting us to send in a nomination form. So, I mean, you don't have to vote on it tonight. They don't need it until August the 1st, and so it can go roll over to current business for the next meeting. But just so you know, there's actually more formal vote on who you want to put on that committee this time.
We don't have no problems.
You still want to be on?
Yeah, I don't have a problem serving on it again.
Okay. Well, y'all okay with letting that roll over then, since it's not needed tonight? Okay, current business.
Okay, the third item under the administrator's report is an abatement request we received from Kimber Manufacturing. Y'all just got a copy of it. I'm not sure if y'all want to read over it, talk to Alan some.
Let me take the ball on this for a minute. I believe it's in the packet. Last week, I received a letter from Kimber's attorney in Montgomery, which requesting the customary ad valorem, non-educational ad valorem tax abatement. However, this one is a little bit different, and so, and you can read the documents, the letter, and then it's got a proposed agreement. So it's been placed on the agenda for your consideration. It's not urgent. Evidently, I emailed the attorney last Wednesday and said, I'm about to send this to the interim administrator for placement on the agenda. If it's urgent, let me know. If not, it'll be addressed most likely at the June 25th meeting. So I've heard nothing further in response. So I would, as far as I know, it's not urgent. So we don't like to suspend the rules generally unless there's something fairly urgent.
The chairman not being here, I think would be best to let it
I would
Forward
recommend
it. Just forward it.
pushing this over to the next meeting, but you can read those and see what they're asking specifically.
There's a fourth item that came up on the administrator's report that was not in the original packages. I put copies in front of y'all tonight. It's the list of insolvents, errors, and taxes and litigation for 2017. This comes from the Revenue Commissioner's Office. It's something you do annually that has to be done on the first meeting in June. It takes till it's time for the first meeting in June for them to get it prepared, but y'all all do have a copy, and it's something that's a routine action that the commission takes every year.
Okay.
Any questions on that? We'll move, and will need y'all to suspend the rules and take action on that tonight if you don't mind. Under current business, number one, engineer personnel, the engineer's already gone over. The second is personnel for county administrator.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on the county administrator, there were some things that on one of the background check that we need to go into executive session on here. And if the worker is to continue this meeting until Wednesday, if the commission can meet Wednesday and go into an executive session on that on Wednesday and talk about that. Because we are planning on, I think, now I'm not for sure, planning on hiring our administrator by the first of this month.
I think the last executive session we went into, we had agreed because of the chairman's absence, we were going to leave this to the 25th to bring back up and talk. But we need to look at the minutes of that last
But he'll be
executive
back
session.
I'm not trying to see if he'll be back Wednesday. If he'll be back Wednesday,
He's going to be gone this entire week.
okay.
Yeah.
If he's gonna be gone entire week,
Yes,
just
yes.
go out there.
Yeah, he's-
I thought he would be back Wednesday.
No, he's gonna be gone.
Okay.
He's going to be gone this whole business week. I don't know if he'll be this weekend before like Sunday before they're back home, is my understanding.
That is correct, because I've talked with him just to confirm.
But that was the understanding, and
Timeline.
he asked us to not to hold this till he would return to that meeting on the 25th,
Well,
correct?
I think that was the unanimous understanding that we would wait until then, because Commissioner Copeland was gone last week, I believe, or part of last week. Chairman Sullivan was going to be gone now through next Monday, so you might as well, the next meeting's only a week out.
And he and I've got CE classes
Next week.
next week,
That's right.
Wednesday and Thursday. So out
Well,
of town.
I was thinking that he'd be back Wednesday, you know, but that's not, so we can go.
Got time.
Got time.
Okay.
All right, the industrial access project number 3, just to give you an update, that application was submitted, and there's a copy in front of all of you for what was submitted. It should have gotten there today. I overnighted it on Friday, so I believe it would have probably got there Saturday, but they have it. But that's a copy of what was submitted. Number 4, the CDBG/EDA grants, we did get the approval letters on those this week. So everything's moving along with Southeast right now. Is that right? You may not have gotten a copy of those, or Robin and I got a copy of those letters. Those they're moving along like they're supposed to. Ashton Estes is handling those also. Striping projects, I think that's moved forward. Vacation of a portion of County Road 7724, that's ready. Y'all have completed your public hearing on that.
Let me show Commissioner Wright before he makes the motion, just the exact, it's roughly 0.56, a little more than a half a mile. Our engineer calculated that distance from here, they're 7724,
Okay, just a minute.
to, it's going right at that second, that's the end of Rex Lumber's property, so there'll be a gate right there. So anybody down here can still access back this way. And then when the road is relocated, it's going to tie right back into right there. So it's really just going to be that's a permanent vacation because that Rex will own it. But the access for the public is only temporary because there'll be a new road.
Okay. I want you to wait just one moment.
Take this place.
Mr. Adam, Mr. Homer, Coach Bronson he is the only gentleman I spoke to about the road closure. And I know we'd started the work session out with the public hearing, but since he's here, I'd like to give him a minute. If he's got a question to ask, to talk about that. Y'all okay with that?
Yeah.
Coach, would you like to ask some questions on
I
that?
was only concerned about the closing of the road and whether it was going to be permanent or not. So and that's been answered since I talked to you.
Would you like to show him that, would you mind showing him that map? Mr. Allen High is gonna go in there. So that he can-
Here's 7724, there's the fork in the road,
This is
that's what, I'm just gonna call Alice May curve, and
I didn't know that.
that's the John McKellar turn, that's right there. And it cuts, so until the road is relocated, it's gonna close at that section line right there.
This doesn't.
Okay.
So this.
Yeah.
80 acres. So that was my concern, whether this would be completely shut off or not. You know, this road from here to here.
It is after tonight. I mean, this particular road will no longer exist tonight. It'll be vacated, it will no longer be a county road. Then it's gonna be relocated. I don't know the schedule on that, because I don't think anybody knows the schedule on the new road, and it will also be 7724. So that's what we're calling it relocation, but it is going to be a new road.
When it's reconnected, will it still be county or
It'll be
owned?
county maintained
Maintained.
and connect right back in here where right back in here where it closed, right.
It'll just take a more northerly circuitous route to, up around that side.
Yeah.
That was my concern.
Here, at the end of Rex property, and, because McKellar, this is the McKellar Honey, so that's you on the left before you get there, okay, on both sides of the road.
Yes.
Well, temporarily, you can't access it now through there, so you might get, there's so much equipment, but, there will be, at some point, another road here, connecting here.
That was my concern.
And so, I hope that answers.
Yes, sir, that answers my problem.
Yeah. Thank you, Mackenzie. Go on, move on.
All right, the next will be the Pike County Emergency Management and Communications District, and I believe y'all have addressed that, and we'll be moving forward with that. Number 8 is vacation of County Road 1109. We're going to be having a public hearing on that at our next commission meeting, June the 25th. It's being advertised in the paper right now. So there'll be no action on that tonight. Number 9 is where I was directed last meeting to start looking at some sound systems for the commission chambers. I have talked with one company. I'm waiting on them to get a quote back to me, and so we're working on that. I don't have anything at this point to give y'all on that. So that's all I have.
Okay. Well, we will, anybody have any questions for the administrator, interim administrator? We'll close the work session and we'll reconvene in 9 minutes for the 6 p.m. regular meeting.
How is everybody? How you doing, Sean? I was told to announce that they're selling chances on a Yeti over here. Like $1 or something over here under the big tree with the band and see the balloons on it. Y'all go buy some chances on a cooler. See my share of broken halos, golden wings that used to fly. They are gone wherever they go. Broken halos that used to shine. That's our country show for the evening.
Let the regular meeting, 6 p.m. meeting of the June 11th start for the Pike County Commission. We'd like to start the meeting with the invocation with Commissioner Copeland.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for the night. We thank you for the opportunity to come together to discuss your business, this county, Lord. We ask for your wisdom as we do that. We ask for you to guide over us and watch us, Lord, and we ask for your blessing in all that we do. And that's all this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. We'll let the minutes show that we have a quorum, but that the chairman from District 2 is absent tonight. You ready? You got the minutes show the chairman from District 2 is absent tonight.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We have a quorum. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Approval of claims.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes show the minutes and claims are approved. Engineer.
Mr. Vice Chairman, we request approval of our personnel recommendation, which is the 2 hires and to advertise for a part-time permanent operator 1 or 2.
I need a motion to,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we approve the engineer's request.
okay, in a second.
Second.
Right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Okay, and then also the vacation of County Road 7, portion of County Road 7724 is under my report. I don't know if you want to address that now or not.
it's attorney's suggestion that we deal with that.
We're
now.
gonna get on it, we're
Yep.
gonna get on the rest.
Okay.
24. I'll motion that we will hold the portion of 7724 effective tonight.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes show unanimous vote. That it?
That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, EMA.
The only thing we have is, just, I guess, ask for your approval to move forward with meeting with, the external
Other entities.
agencies and all that, and move forward with this report.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Sheriff.
I make a motion that we move forward on the MEA request.
Okay.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Attorney's report. Okay. Administrator report.
Okay, we don't need any action. We're going forward. The legislative committee nominee to the current business, the abatement request.
Can be
We're
forwarded
going to forward it.
Till
Okay.
the chairman's back.
Okay. The fourth one would be the list of insolvents, errors, and taxes in litigation for 2017. I do ask that y'all suspend the rules and
Okay. Need a motion to suspend the rules.
I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Have a second.
Second.
We need a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Okay. Now I need a motion to accept the list of insolvents, errors, and taxes in litigation.
Make a move.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
okay. Under current business, I don't think that y'all are going to take action on anything else unless y'all are ready to move forward on anything other than what we've already moved forward
there's nothing tonight on the commission report on the 5515 that we need to talk about in any more detail. Okay, we can roll that over to the next meeting. Okay. Any other commissioners have anything else to report on?
I don't.
Okay. The, we don't have anything else?
One thing, Mr. Chairman. Russell, you know, the engineer, 4th of July is coming up. The road man queued up there pretty good.
Next year. Next year.
You know,
I got one more thing, since you brought that up, it made me think about it. I had somebody at church come up to me the other day, and, you know, with what we're doing with the mowing, the spray and all that stuff, it's kind of come up with all the people that do, I don't know what the right word for it is, we'll call it keeping up. We got some that take care of the whole road. They take care of 3 or 4 miles because they want it manicured and they want it that way. And, I don't know that there's a way we can do this, but something to brainstorm on and think about. It would be nice to have a way that we could recognize some of those people that kept that area, their areas clean, their areas mowed. And I don't know how we do that in Kinsey, but for any of you guys that's got an idea, but it'd be nice, the people that are doing that, they're not only showing pride in the county and keeping their area, they're also saving us a lot of money. And if there's a way we could figure out how to recognize them. There's a lot of them, so I don't know how we do it, because we don't want to miss somebody. But
The way we've been doing that is bring them to a meeting and awarding with a plaque, just doing that. That's what we've been doing that. We did it a couple of times.
Yeah, maybe if we figured something out that once a quarter, I think once a month's probably too much, but Russell, we probably have to have your input on that, because you guys touch a lot of the county. We know in our districts and different people, but anyways, food for thought.
Well, if we don't, anybody else have anything? Well, if we don't have any other business before the commission tonight, we'll adjourn this meeting.
I'll move.
Take
Second.
a second, all right? Meeting is adjourned.